What if I told you that the best leadership strategy for navigating 2025's chaos and confusion was discovered before the iPhone, before the social media boom, and most likely before most of your team members were even born? I'm about to share with you a framework that really separates the leaders that we want to follow from those that we very reluctantly obey. By the way, my name is Eric. I'm a leadership development specialist, a best-selling author, and I've spoken for organizations across the world helping their leaders to evolve how they lead. Now, in the 1970s, building on the work of James McGregor Burns, Bernard Bass released a framework called transformational leadership. And it identifies 4 very specific behaviors that leaders can adopt that will help them to be more transformational in nature. And of course, in times of great transformation, we need leaders who can lead that transformation. So what are those 4 behaviors? The first behavior is inspirational motivation. And a quote that sums this up very well says that if you want to build a ship, don't drum up men to gather the wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. We don't inspire people by telling them what to do. We inspire them by creating a compelling vision of the future. But more than just create a vision of the future, we also need to be very mindful about how do we communicate change to other people? How do we inspire them to change? Now, most leaders use fear as their primary motivator. They'll say things like, if you don't use AI, then someone who does will replace you. And they think that this will catalyze change, but really all it does is it freezes people in place. It paralyzes them. Transformational leaders do something different. They paint a picture of possibility. And a great example of this is the company Fiverr, who launched a campaign not too long ago that said, AI took my job to the next level. Now, they are all about empowering freelancers, and this campaign was aimed at freelancers, helping them to think about how do I augment what I already have? How do I add to my skill set by using artificial intelligence? Instead of pushing, they were pulling. Instead of fear, they were using inspiration. The second behavior is called individualized consideration. I want you to think about the best leader you've ever had and why you would say that they are the best leader. When I ask this question of most people, they'll tell me that it's not the leader who delegated the best or who was the best at strategy, but the leader that made them feel seen. The leader that was able to tap into a dormant potential and bring it to life. The leader that helped them to transform in some shape or manner. What I've come to realize is that good transformational leaders are both coaches and hosts. Most of us know that leaders need to be coaches today. And being a good coach means that you are actively participating in the growth of others. You are shaping conversations in such a way that it leads to clarity, to confidence, and momentum. But the one I really want you to remember is that you need to be a good host as well. During a recent speaking trip in Mexico, I attended many different dinners at many different tables with many different leaders. And it really hit home for me that great leaders are good hosts. Because the role of a good host is to make people feel welcomed, included, and like they belong. So be the kind of host that creates a space and holds a space for other people. Always remember that small, genuine moments of consideration for others can create a tremendous ripple effect through a team or organization. The third behavior is intellectual stimulation. And most leaders get this wrong because most leaders think that this simply means we can challenge people's thinking. But what they get wrong here is that you have to create the right environment in order to challenge people's thinking effectively. When you have the right environment and challenge, it leads to growth. When you have the wrong environment and challenge, it either leads to perceived bullying or just running into brick walls with people not really volunteering any good information or ideas. So how do you create the right kind of an environment? Well, you have to create a culture of psychological safety. This means that you create a space where people feel they can speak up, they can be vulnerable without the fear of being reprimanded, without the fear of being ostracized from the group. In a study done by Google called Project Aristotle, they found that psychological safety is one of the most important predictors of creating a high-performance team. And there are many things that you can do that's going to help you create more psychological safety. I'm not going to dive into that right now. I'm just going to tell you 2 things not to do, and then you can figure out what to do. The first thing not to do is don't tell people to think divergently and challenge the status quo, and then when they do, you just point blank shoot down these ideas. That's guaranteed to create a culture of silence. Secondly, don't tell people that we want to challenge each other's thinking in this team, but then not allow them to challenge your thinking. The question to ask isn't whether you are challenging your team enough. It is whether you've created an environment that is safe enough where the team can be challenged. The fourth and final behavior is idealized influence. Put very simply, you are always on show. As a leader, people are always watching you. They are looking to see how are you responding to stress and to challenge and to competitors. How are you treating others? How are you treating yourself? Trust in leadership at this moment in time is in crisis. And that is because we are looking to our leaders and we are seeing that their actions and their words don't really align. Transformational leadership isn't about talking about values, it's about embodying those values, especially when it costs you something. We are asking people to commit to changing, and when we change, we are always leaving something behind. And so we need to be the first to go. We need to show that we are willing to pay the price in order to change. Your influence comes a lot less from what you say and a lot more from what you do. So those are the 4 behaviors of transformational leadership: idealized influence, individualized consideration, inspirational motivation, and intellectual stimulation. Of course, leadership is a lot more nuanced and complex. There are many things we need to get right. But I believe that any of these 4 behaviors are a great starting point. And the more you can blend them, the more of a transformational leader you become. So choose one, start living it out, and let us know in the comments how that goes. And by the way, if this sparked something for you, then head over to joinmodernleader.com, a newsletter that's all about the personal development of modern leaders.